So I just had a thought there about, what it must have been like when you knew that the 2020 program was finishing, and what the atmosphere was like with the women on the team, and how you dealt with that, and how they've dealt with it.
Yeah, that was tough with sort of a quirk in our schedule. It all happened on a Thursday, and it turned out that we actually had that Thursday off. We didn't have any practice, so I couldn't mandate any meetings or anything. And that was actually for Jevy and Cicely and John. It was their last workout at the boathouse. So we had a little get together at the boathouse, and then as news started coming through during the day, it's like, oh, season got canceled. And then news came out around 1 p.m. our time, and then traded text with a bunch of kids on the team, and then like, hey, we'll have a team meeting tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. at the erg room. And then, but it was interesting because, the news was happening so fast. So we had a meeting at 7 a.m. and then we had a staff meeting. And at the time, it's kind of funny now to think about that. It's like, hey, it was going to have a 2-week spring break, and then classes are going to come back and resume again, and like we can start training again. There's not going to be an NCAA championship, but we might have some sort of season, and then within the next 2 days over that weekend, it was clear like where things were heading. And so our international kids, like, everyone just go home, take care of yourself, be with your family, and that was a big coordination to get everyone home and situated. So, but it was certainly disappointing news for the team, but kind of like what I say about like, our team, like, we talk about being a good, perfect Texas teammate. And then I was like, well, now, like, we talk about when we make the world a better place. We're all citizens of the world. We all have to do what our part to, to minimize the risk of infection, So I was like, yes, we are. It's disappointing that we're not going to have an NCAA championship, but we need to understand we are part of a bigger picture here as citizens of the world. So now we have a job to do.
Yeah.
So I felt like, what our goals for the team in terms of who we are and who we want to become perfectly aligned with, okay, what's happening now.
Wow. Yeah. And I was going to ask you about, do you have any coaching role models or people you learn things from or admire?
Yeah, great question for sure. I mean, when I was at Cal as the women's coach, I was certainly, Steve Gladstone. I'm sure you know the name. He was the men's coach there, and I guess he's the one who hired me at Cal. So learned a lot from him. And then when Steve left and Mike Tatey came along, so
how did you get along with Mike?
I'm the women's coach, so got to learn quite a bit from Mike.
Yeah.
And then and over the years, developed a good relationship with Tom Terhar, and I've learned a lot from Tom and Laurel, in terms of everything, and and here at University of Texas, we have a really legendary swim coach, Eddie Reese. I started, every conversation I have with him, I learned from him. So so plenty of role models, and there's plenty of opportunities to learn all the time.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And talk about swimming. I know that was Ollie Zeidler's sport, and I did hear that you look for athletes who aren't necessarily rowers to come onto the program.
Well, I mean, years ago, that was certainly a little bit more of the norm. Now we're certainly recruiting the best rowers from around the world, But if someone comes from another sport and is successful in another sport and has the right physical makeup and knows how to work, yeah, absolutely, we'll take them on. I think the best example of that, Kara Kohler, the USA single sculler the last few years.
Yeah.
I coached her at Cal, taught her to row at Cal, and recruited her to come to Cal. And I remember her walking on campus, and she was interested in rowing. Clearly, was a really good swimmer, but she's like, in talking with her, it's like, yeah, like I know in swimming, like I know the times. I want to go to the Olympics, and it's pretty clear I'm not going to go to the Olympics in swimming.
Yeah.
I want to give rowing a try. Like, yeah, you could be, let's give this a shot. And right away, like, she got going.
She was in that quad that got bronze in 2012 with Megan Kelmo.
Yeah. So she joined our team. I remember I was working with Tom and Laurel in Poznan in 2009. So in our school year at Cal had already started. So, and this is when Kara was going to be, just starting as a freshman at our team.
Wow.
And I remember getting a text or a phone call from our assistant coach, because our team had started, and like checking in, and she's like, oh, yeah, and Kara Kohler, she showed up and she's done this and this, she hasn't rode, she's doing this and this. Like, okay, so I remember biking back with Tom Laurel from the race course to the hotel. I'm like, Laurel, here's a name that's going to become important to you. And she's like, oh, what? Like, Kara Kohler. She's like, what? I'm like, remember this name, Kara Kohler, is going to become very important. She's like, okay. And sure enough, 10 years down the road, Laurel coaching Kara and doing great. So
yeah.
Come around. So yeah, someone's from another sport and has a good background and knows how to work hard. As we all know, like, yeah, rowing could be a great fit.
So when you went from Cal to Texas, I mean, so where were Texas at the time, and what did you start to put in place that made a difference?
Yeah. It's kind of funny, the move here, because Cal, we had finished top 3, I think 9 of 10 years, and 9 of 10 years we had done great. And Texas, I think for a lot of people in the country, I always thought like Texas was one of those places that could become awesome. Could become awesome. So they weren't a top 20 program at the time. They weren't necessarily even a top 30 program. They're a program that, the framework is in place. It could be good, could become good. And so I'm like, okay, let's go for the challenge. Let's see what we can do. So I'll admit part of it might have been a little bit of a midlife crisis at the time.
Say a bit more.
What's that?
Say a bit more about that.
Well, my wife and I, we had our son was 4 years old, and our daughter, our son Dash was 4, our son Piper was 2. At Cal, it's like, oh, like, is this as far as it's going to go? There were always budget limitations at Cal, so, and then when the job opened up at Texas, it's like, okay, if we're ever going to move, this is the job. Like, when I talked to the athletic director, Chris Plonsky, we met in a hotel lobby in San Jose, California. And, and within 3 minutes talking to her, I was like, they want to get good. She's like, I think we could be good at rowing. I think we could be good. She's like, there's a lake like 6 miles from campus. We want to build a race course there. I'm like, you want to build a race course? She's like, yeah, like, I think we can host races there. Like, I think we could put a course in. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, oh, wow. So they made it clear they wanted to get good at this. It's like, all right, let's go. And so it was certainly intriguing to me to come to a place like here, where I feel like, and I've said this over the years now, the only thing that's limiting us here at University of Texas is our imagination and how hard we want to work. Like, there's really no other limitations to us. There are some limitations now with COVID-19, but at the time it's like, okay, sky's the limit. Let's go for it. So we've built a race course out there, and I'm a big believer in the Division I student athlete experience, so being here, where it really is like the best possible student athlete experience that could possibly be, so it's like, let's move here to Texas, and like, what can happen, because it was like with the midlife crisis part of it, I was like, if we don't, talking with my wife, Nicole, if we don't take this job, if we don't move, like, we're here in California, and I can never complain ever again about anything else, because, I had the best, what could be the best possible job with this one. And so sure, we decided to make the move. And it was kind of funny, I got so many congratulations. Hey, congratulations on the Texas job. Congratulations on that, from people I didn't even know at the time, because I think people recognize like what this could turn into. So, and it's been exciting being here. It's been exciting. The last few years, it's been really, really good. So the part, not to ramble on, but the part of your question, like what was different in, the changes here. That first year we had the end result was really quite good. Our first 8 ended up coming in 4th in the country. And I think so much of it, I had those initial meetings with kids on the team, and I was like, all right, hey, well, you're 5'10", 165 pounds. Like, yeah, you should be able to pull 705 on the erg. It's like, what? And all these kids like, 705, you're crazy. I'm like, well, you're 5'11", you should break 6 minutes. It's like, what? You're crazy. You should break 7 minutes. I'm sorry. You're like, you're crazy. And I think so much of it was just instilling the mindset, like, yes, like how I said, like the power of yet, like take anything you haven't done. I haven't broken 7 minutes. I haven't raced at NCAAs. We haven't raced in it. We haven't won a national championship. I haven't won an Olympic gold medal yet. Just put yet at the end of it. And then, like, yes, I haven't broken 7 minutes yet. I haven't raced at NCAAs yet. We haven't won a national championship yet. So you just put yet at the end of anything you haven't done. And now everything seems possible.
Yeah.
And I think getting that in the mindset, and I think those kids, once they realize, like, oh, this is a hard workout. Oh, another hard workout. Another hard workout. They're like, oh, this is my life now. Just hard workout after hard workout.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Really, and I think them realizing there was no real trick to it.
So how much do you balance out with training on the erg? You mentioned there, raising women's horizons to another level.
Yeah.
How much of your training is on the erg?
Yeah, we're fortunate here that we can row all year long. So we never have to come off the water, so we're always, December, January, we're rowing all the time. And I'd say there are erg workouts. We have typically one hard erg workout a week, and that's typically on Friday afternoon. We call it Black Friday. Everyone wears the black, everyone's dressed in black, and that's typically a hard erg workout. And then probably every other week we'll do another erg workout on a Monday or a Tuesday morning or Monday afternoon, and those are typically just 3x5K, lower intensity. And just getting the meters in.
So how come the scores have gone down then, in terms of the women on the program, if you're not using the erg that much? That's really interesting.
Well, but I think rowing is a fitness sport. It's not simply an erg sport. I think, like so many people, they'll be, out there rowing and rowing and rowing on the water and then get on the erg. Like, okay, now, I don't think you have to be on the erg to have good times.
Yeah.
And even the times when we do test, we never do any sort of preparation for a test. It's just like, okay, let's just jump on, go for it. Let's see what you can do for 2,000 meters.
Yeah.
So I think if you're out rowing 20K in a single, you get on the erg, you row 20K for 3 weeks in a row in a single day after day, you get on the erg, those erg numbers are probably going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
So I don't think you have to be on the erg to have good numbers.
So what you must, I guess, have a range for a 2K score or something for your a winning 1v8.
Yeah, for sure. It depends on certainly what's the average weight in the boat and what's the average erg. What's the amount of power that they have. And we figure for the top 8 to be able to win these days, they need to be probably around sub 650.
Wow.
So probably 648, 649 average erg.
Yeah.
And average weight somewhere around 165 to 170 pounds.
Yeah.
Estimated. So the level's gotten quite high. So it used to be breaking 7 minutes was a really good time. Now, probably about half, at least half of our kids in our second 8 are sub 7 minutes nowadays.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they're doing some good work.
Yeah.
And that'd be the same for all the top programs in the country, I'd say.
So, and how influential is an erg score when you select in terms of, will you always go for a boat mover over an erg score?
Yeah, maybe I should ask you. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd always go for a boat mover, really.
Yeah. Same here. I'd say the erg gets you the initial look, and then selection is an ongoing process. We take a look at ergs. We take a look at how good you are in a pair, how good you are in a pair with a whole range of different partners, how good you are in a single. Now we'll go out in 4s and we'll do seat racing. And then we'll put together an 8. We have a time standard. How are you doing against the time standard? So you might not even do switches. How fast is the first 8 compared to our time standard versus the second 8 to their time standard? And then the most important piece in terms of selection is what happens at a race. Like, is that boat performing at a high level, or no, they're not performing at a high level?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm sure you'd agree. With boat selection for rowing, that's certainly there's no specific science to it all.
Yeah. Is there an athlete in your 8 that particularly stands out like that? That's maybe not one of the strongest on the erg, but really moves the boat sweetly.
Yeah, I would say 2019, the 60 in our boat, Fanny Bone, she the Dutch kid, so she graduated, and she never broke 7 minutes. Always had an erg, or even when she did erg, Fanny, if you're watching, love you, But she would get on an erg, and then for the next 3 days, her rib would hurt, so she couldn't row. So then it turned into like, well, she would prove herself in a single. She'd go out and be the best single. She'd be the best in a pair with a whole variety of partners. Put her in a 4. Her 4 would always win. So she would always prove herself on the water. And then for whatever reason, we'd get her on the erg, and she would never, her erg would always, she could have some good performances, but then she'd be injured. She couldn't, perform after that. So then it was like, all right, I don't care about the erg. I don't care about the erg, So funny story with that, because I know, like, Americans, it's like, oh, we only care about the erg. We only care about the erg. Conversation that Fanny and I had a year ago now. She's like, I have to do a 2K erg, and I'm like, why? And she's like, because the Dutch coaches are demanding I have a 2K erg for under 23 and national team selection. I'm like, what? She's like, I don't care. She's like, yeah, but they're saying I need to have a 2K erg. Like, okay, Fanny, let's just look at the absurdity of this. Like, you have the American coach saying he doesn't care about the erg, but you have the Dutch coaches, the ones who say the ergs, the Dutch coaches are saying demanding an erg, So, and now Fanny is part of the Dutch system, and hopefully, I know, and trying to make the Dutch 8. I know the Dutch 8 still has to qualify, so she's looks like she's committed to 2021 again. So
yeah.